Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Demonland podcast. My name is Andy, and joining me is my co-host, Grapeviney. Good evening, Grapeviney. How are you?
Well, thanks, Andy, and hello to all the Demonlanders out there, the Demon faithful.
Yes, JLT2 is in the can, and, we didn't quite get through the pre-season unscathed, but we did get through undefeated, which is a bonus. So, how did you see? Go ahead.
Trophy for that?
No, well, we didn't finish on the top of the JLT ladder. That disappoints me. Our percentage wasn't quite good enough. I think those honours go to Richmond, but you know, to get through with undefeated, it's a good step. I don't know what exactly that means in terms of the season. If you have a look at all the statistics throughout the years, it really means nothing if you go through undefeated. There's been teams that haven't won a match and then sort of skipped their way through into finals and winning premierships. So, but better winning than losing, I say.
Absolutely. And look, for the most part, the boys have looked pretty good. I don't know how good our opposition has been. North are pretty much predicted to finish somewhere near the bottom. St Kilda will probably be a bit closer to where we're at, but I think they're still behind us and probably some way off us. And aside from letting some of that game slip, where the boys perhaps went to sleep again, it's been a good lead-in.
It has, and we'll talk more about that game in just a moment. If anyone would like to join us and talk to us about anything that we discussed tonight or anything that's on your mind, feel free to call at any time. The ways to call us is 03 9016 3666. That's 03 9016 3666. Or you can Skype us, search for Demonland 31, and just should come up Demonland, and just connect to us, and we'll get you on the air as soon as we can.
Should we start off by addressing the elephant in the room?
Which elephant would that be? How many elephants do we have going into 2018?
There is now a direct threat to the Demonland podcast, a very predatory move by the club today to announce its own podcast.
Well, I wouldn't call it predatory. The club has every right to do what they like.
I think this is a disgrace, Andy, and I'd have to check on the internet, but I'm pretty sure we invented the podcast format. This is a blatant rip-off from the club. I sent a very strongly worded legal letter to Peter Jackson today.
Cease and desist.
Cease and desist. Just back off, pal. You concentrate on getting the premiership. We'll deliver the podcast
That's
content.
Right. Well,
but completely separate to that, can I ask you for a reference? Because I'm just going for a new job. So, yeah.
Well, look, I've got no problem with the club. They'll podcast well before us. There were Melbourne podcasts before us. But, I've got no problem with it. I said on the site today that, I don't have a problem with the club doing it. This site, was born 20 years ago out of the fact that there is very little official Demons content on the web. And what little content there was, there certainly wasn't any official channels where you could discuss the Ds with other D supporters. There were other websites. Demonology had started around that time, which is no longer. Big Footy, which is still around, which is more, they have their club forums, but it was more of a general thing that was out there. And it wasn't until the last couple of years, I don't know whether it was 5, 8, 10 years, that the club slowly started to produce more and more content, more videos, more interviews, articles. But Demonland was always there for discussion and debate. The club never had an official forum, probably because they didn't want to get involved in the whole moderating, and we've had 10 bad years of.
They'd only be able to keep 1/50th of the content that would get posted up there.
Yeah, and look, we moderate, and at times we may seem heavy-handed, but it's more to protect ourselves legally. When I don't mind people having a point of view, but when you start bagging players just without any constructive criticism, that's where we can get into a bit of trouble. But for the most part, we let people speak their mind, and we understand when we have bad losses that people need to vent. And, the club sort of never went down that route of having that, and I understand why they didn't. And, I'm actually surprised that the club's actually doing a podcast, because they've got a massive social media following. They've got 130 or 150,000 followers on Facebook. I'm not sure what Twitter is, and Instagram, but they've got a lot there. They can produce video content and do interviews and get that out to a very large audience. So podcasting seems a backward step. If I had the funds that they did, and I'd be doing video things. If I had the access to the players that they have,
they do that, don't they?
Well, they do.
So
yeah, I like.
It seems strange that they would add the podcast format to what they've already got, given that, as you say, they can bombard, and they do bombard us with all of that content already, particularly the videos.
And I love that
the
content.
Post-match interviews and all of it. Yeah.
And having said that, I've got no problem with the Demons where there being more Demons content on the net. If they're going to do a podcast, great. Well, I'd love to hear Max talk, and I think he's their first guest on it.
Copy.
No. Look, I'm not trying to compete with the club. In my eyes, the club always comes first. Any of the people that I have contact with the club, I've always said to them, the club comes first. So I'm very much aware that the club comes first. So I don't mind that. Their podcast, I think, is hosted by Clint Stanaway and someone from Fox Footy. I can't remember who it was. And look, they're media professionals. There's no way we can compete with that. In comparison, we're complete amateurs when it comes to interviewing and broadcasting. And look, we're not experts. I mean, you probably are, but I'm not. So I'm certainly not. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. I'm just a guy watching in the stands and saying what I see, and it might not be right. It might not. I don't know, but. We just do this for fun, and that's always what we've done with this website. So more Demon content, the more the better, I say.
Clint makes a good point that there's now more Melbourne podcasts than supporters, which is probably about right. So, yep, the more the better. Why not?
But it's
good luck getting Djakovic on.
Yeah, no, that's right. He's ours. Djakovic is ours, and we're going to keep him. So, whatever. Good luck to the club, and
look. It does. It does potentially make it harder to get guests on, because, as we know already in our dealings with the club, the players do a lot of media work already. We know in trying to get some of the female players on, Daisy has already got her own podcast with Sam Lane and somebody else. So it's a very heavy market, heavily saturated market.
It is, and I mean, the club's told me that they'll still allow us to have players on the club every now and again, and from the club every now and again. They said their podcast takes precedence, and I understand that, and we've got a good relationship with the club, so I can't see that not continuing into the future. So we'll just try and bring you the best content we can bring you. And we'll always provide a venue for Demon fans to vent. Hopefully not as much venting as there has been in the last few years.
Yep.
All right, so moving on from that, JLT2. We'll start with the good signs, and then possibly talk about the bad signs. So what was good from your point of view? What stood out? Who stood out as being, as good signs for you?
The thing I liked, which I think we've seen already, is the spread. The spread across the side. We're not relying on the efforts of one or two individuals to carry the rest of the team. It's a very even performance across the field. And I think I didn't look at the numbers, but I think, again, we had, we kicked a very reasonable score. And there was a very even spread of goal kickers, and I think that's very important too. In terms of individuals, I was most interested to see Bailey Fritsch again. I guess I was curious to see whether we'd see the same as what he delivered in JLT 1, and I wasn't let down at all. He really looks to have quite a bit of skill, doesn't he?
Yeah,
talent and nous as well as guts.
Yeah, he only kicked the one goal, but he did a few nice things sort of further up the ground, I thought. Positioned himself well. The goal that he kicked was, he did something earlier on in the contest, kept running down, got a handball off from Petraka, I think, and kicked a nice little sort of snap goal on the run, and shows a fair bit, and he picks up the ball beautifully off the ground. So there's a lot to like.
He seems to really use it well.
Yeah, he does. There's a lot to like him. Are you? I've been sure that he's going to play round one. What are your thoughts? Round one?
Well, I had a question mark next to it going into the weekend, but he's in for mine now for sure. Simon Goodwin was almost confirmed as much in the post-match interview. Now, not the post-match press conference, but Fox interviewed him on the ground virtually seconds after the siren as they were coming off. And he didn't quite say he was a lock, but it was words to the effect of it's going to be very hard to leave him out. And I think that's proven to be the case. And the forward line really has got a lot of X factor in it now.
Yeah.
Bailey's definitely got it. We know, obviously, CP5, when he's there, he's got it, and Mitch Hannon's shown that he's got it too. And even, we saw Harms last year bob up with those early goals against St Kilda, I think.
Yeah.
So
kicked three in the first quarter, and not forgetting Jeffy Garlett on his first, back.
Of course,
he only had 11 disposals, but every time he gets near the ball, especially he gets the ball in the forward line, he's pretty much going to kick a goal, kick two. Did a few nice things around the ground as well. Melksham bobbing up for two, Brayshaw for two, Oliver for two. So we've got a few of those midfielders getting down there.
And you want to see that. You want to see more of that too. I think they mentioned that on the weekend, that the midfield hadn't contributed a lot last year, goals-wise, but
Tyson
we're
Salem,
seeing that a bit now, yeah.
Tyson and Salem bobbing down for a goal. Tommy Bugg kicked a goal. Look, Tommy Bugg's got to do something about his kicking.
Oliver seems to have really good goal sense.
I've always wanted him to kick them all.
Interested to see his accuracy rate. I think it'd be pretty high.
He kicked a ripper from outside 50, and then did some unusual celebration, which I don't know if I'm a big fan of that type of celebrating. That's a bit of that NBA, NFL sort of celebration. I think I can do without that. Definitely not halfway through a game. Don't mind it maybe at the end of a game, but once you've got the job done. But
look,
anyway.
I confess I'd love to see Jesse kick 10 every week and Jeffy to get another 10, and that'd do me for getting the 20 goals a week. But there's no denying that spreading it out, across the entire forward line is the preferred option. Goodwin seems to have really built that well, and it's come together quite quickly, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, we had 13 separate goal scorers, and that's a good spread.
And it was a similar number against North, I think, wasn't
it? Yeah. So I'm really liking that aspect of our game, because you got to, oppositions have to sort of hold down every player. You hold down one, and another few are going to bop up. So how did you think we performed without Tom McDonald in the forward line, considering that he may or may not play in round one?
Well, the evidence suggests we did all right.
Yeah.
Because we didn't, we kicked a high score. There was a spread of goal kickers. Cam Pedersen didn't have a great game, but he's a more than capable replacement for Tom. If he's out for the first few rounds, then I think we'll still get by. As much as we need him and want him, yeah.
If Tom is out, Pedersen's obviously the one to replace him. Do you think Cam will be in there if Tom is playing? That's sort of the question that's sort of out there. Will we have the three big guys?
Nope.
Hogan? No.
Nope.
Yeah. All right. That answers that.
Why do you think he will?
No. It's just, look, I really like Cam Pedersen. But yeah, I think if Tom's there, maybe he gets squeezed out, but very unlucky to be squeezed out. But yeah,
I mean, then
if
Pedersen plays, you're taking away one of those X factors.
That's true.
So it's a no-brainer for mine. Yep.
Yeah. So very happy with, we had a lot of contributors in the middle. How did you see our defence? Lever early on. He's great, isn't he? Just really good.
He just looks to be a super player. He gets in the perfect position. He obviously reads the play really well, and he just sometimes gives the ball an almighty thump. So I think he dropped a couple of marks, perhaps, had the fumbles a few times, but he gets in the right spot almost all of the time, doesn't he?
Oscar went down early with an injury. It's just
could argue things changed after Omac went off.
Yeah, so let's talk about the other elephant in the room, the third quarter, that drop-off. For me, it's practice match, but it's still a very worrying sign. Last year, the thing that probably killed our year was these quarters where we go to sleep, whether it's the first quarter or it's the third quarter or the second or whenever it happens. But, we can play a great game, 3 quarters of a great game, but these 1 quarters where we're going to sleep are costing us big time. We're bleeding goals and not able to kick goals ourselves. What was the third quarter? It was a 1 goal to 5 or 6. That's a match killer, because even we dominated in the first quarter. We kicked 8 goals, but we let them kick 4 goals despite dominating. So it seems that when we kick lots of goals, we still get goals kicked on us, and we can't seem to stem the bleeding when we go to sleep. Is that a worry for you?
It was a warm day, wasn't it?
It was, but it was warm for them too.
Sorry, yeah, but they were switched off early and we were switched on early, and I wonder whether they just perhaps not ran out of puff, but whether it was taxing in the end. But on the plus side, we put our foot back on the pedal again in the last and cruised away quite comfortably. So look, it's not always going to be perfect, but we saw too much of it last year, the going to sleep. And if it, keeps emerging as the real season begins and progresses, then that's definitely a real worry. And the football department would have to look at it. You hope that with the maturity and the experience that you sort of start to see the end of it and a bit more consistency across the 4 quarters. Yeah,
I must say that last quarter, it's good that we can sort of get back into it after a break and put the foot down, but we've got to find a way to put the foot down or to stop it or to stall what's happening and slow things down, because it felt like we just didn't have any control. And yeah, it was hot, and it may have been a bit out of puff, but I really don't want to see that happening during the year, because that happened. The exact same thing happened against Freo early on in the year, and that cost us a place in the final. That was just one of the things that had we not bled those 7 goals against Freo, we would have made the finals.
Yeah, is it a question of leadership? Jack Viney's not there at the moment, so
we had quite a few players missing as well from the team, but that's going to happen during the year.
Nathan Jones was looked well off his game, and really didn't have much of an influence for mine. Hardly sort of cited. So I read that he's got some issue still with his back, or it's flared again or something.
There's got to be something, because reports from training today had him in that rehab group, running laps, and he's sort of been in and out of that rehab group throughout the whole summer. So there's something up there, and wouldn't if he doesn't come up, then maybe he won't be playing round one. And that's something we'll talk about a bit later, just our growing injury list, it seems. So we'll talk about that a bit later. Anything else from the game? Obviously, we don't want going to sleep. Maxi got a lot of tap-outs, Yeah,
it didn't always translate to clearances, though, did it?
No. And, I thought he dominated the tap-outs, but I don't think he... wasn't until sort of Stevens went off injured that we sort of got the ascendancy back, but...
It definitely looks to be in good nick, and I think he started to get his touch back because he took... I haven't seen the numbers, but I'm guessing he took more marks on the weekend than he did the week before, when he seemed to completely misjudge a few. But he seems to be all set for another stellar season, and fingers crossed he stays fit and can reproduce what he did in 2016.
Yeah, we certainly need him. I thought Vince had a great first half. He was sort of back to his better form. Yep. And I was really impressed with Jesse's game. More so about getting the footy. He had 21 disposals, 7 marks. He works really hard, Jesse. Yeah, very impressed. Very impressed with him at the moment. So
he's always leading up and back, and he's. It's great to see him play like that, because it's a really well-rounded game.
Yeah. All right, that's JLT 2.
Did you go or watch it?
No, I watched it on the telly. I didn't brave going out to Casey. I watched it from the comfort of my living room, and I'll be there round 1 to see my first bit of footy for the year live. Now we put up a little poll on the website earlier today, and this is something I want to revisit, because last year, I think we had this thing. Finals is not making the finals. Is that considered a failure? And last year, I think heading towards the middle of the year, I think you were in the camp that not making finals isn't a failure. And I think I was on the other side of the coin, where I said, yeah, it is a failure. This year, have things changed for you? Is missing the finals a failure if we don't make it this year?
Barring extraordinary circumstances.
I'm taking away the extraordinary circumstances, massive amounts of injuries and the like. But
I think that's how people responded in the thread.
Yeah.
Barring that, then absolutely it's got to be finals this year, and I'm there. I wasn't last year, and I think we said this last week. Despite the disappointment of round 23, I still think last year was a successful season, but I can't see how I could say that about this year if we didn't play at least one final. It just seems pretty clear cut, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, I don't think we can cast our eyes further than a first final yet. So, yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh, but Sigel in the chat room has just said the only person who said it wouldn't be a failure was me, was doing something else and clicked the wrong damn button.
Well, he clicked. So, I think he's clicked undecided, so he hasn't been too bad in his predictions. You can be undecided. Yeah, I think we've got to make finals. I don't think, but obviously barring someone. I think someone said there would have to be some This is Colin B. Flaubert said there would have to be some incredible, extraordinary circumstances involved for us to miss, and for me to view it as acceptable. Stuff like death in the club, like Phil Walsh, an affair coming to light, Wayne Carey, natural disasters, Amy Park burns down, or things completely from left field. The salary cap and merger talks are the only type of things that might qualify. And yeah, I'd have to agree. We've got to make it. If we don't, what happens then? I don't want to. Maybe it's way too early for us to talk about what happens.
Well, somebody said that we pack up and go home. Yeah. I'm actually already at home, so I've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I said my bags are still packed from round 23 last year, just at the door waiting. Yeah, well, we'll watch this space. We'll talk about it probably mid-year, and hopefully we're in a position where, it's impossible not to make them. The media predictions, I think we touched on it in a previous podcast, but there have been a few more. All the media's coming out. The Age has done their predictions for 2018. The Herald Sun produced theirs the other day. I think 15 of them said we would make the finals. 5 said we'd miss, and I'm not surprised with the 5 that said we'd miss. They're sort of, some of them are the people that like to make those type of predictions, controversial predictions. Only one of them had us making the top 4. None of them thought we'd be premiers. None of them
thought we'd be top 4. Do you remember?
It was John Ralph. I think it was John Ralph. One sec. Off the top of my head, I'm just scrolling the list. But he said, I think, John Ralph. No, it wasn't John Ralph, but John Ralph was the one that predicted Jack Viney for the Brownlow. We like that one. But yeah, no one had us for the wooden spoon, so that's a plus.
Well, we've really moved on, haven't we?
Yeah, it wasn't so long ago that I couldn't read any of these predictions. Yeah, so I mean, how much stock do you put in these experts? I mean, it's a grain of salt.
I don't even read them anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I used to, but yeah.
It was Sam Landsberger that said we'd make the top 4.
Right.
Yeah, look.
We're a chance we can make the top 4. I think our best is going to be as good as anyone else's. It's just a matter of how consistently they can apply it throughout the year.
See, that's the thing. I know that our best can produce top 4, but I know that we fall asleep and we can play terrible football that has cost us games. 1 bad quarter, 1.5 bad quarters has cost us games. We've really got it. We rarely last year even put 4 quarters together. I mean, even games where we were won and were there were times when we fell asleep. The Brisbane game, round 22, was just as bad as round 23. I believe round 22 was one of the games that cost us because we got to a position where we were 30 points up. Something happened. We either took the foot off the pedals, we just let the bottom team come back into the game, and we barely scraped away with a win. and that percentage is the percentage that killed us. I mean, having lost round 23, we didn't deserve it anyway, but that, it's those games. We've got to start putting 4 quarters of football together, and when we do that, we will be top 4.
You're talking about a very young and inexperienced list. So, as I said before, those lapses you'd hope and expect start to diminish as you get a bit older and get more games under your belt.
How long do we go with the young and experienced? And I'm not calling it an excuse because at times it generally was an excuse or a reason.
Well, we're getting into that zone now where, it probably starts to wear away this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, like a lot of these experts are giving their reasons of us not making the final, saying they don't trust us. Now, some of them aren't backing it up with anything else, but just that they don't trust us. Now, at times I can understand that because I don't trust us fully yet, but I know that our best football can beat anyone. I don't think there's any teams out there that I don't think we can beat if we play our best. You can probably say that about a lot of teams if they play their best. But I know that we can, and we've just got to do it more often.
I'm confident we will.
All right, great. I like some confidence. Well, that's predictions. I don't think we have to go into the predictions, every one of them, but yeah, we're sort of half and half. There's a lot of them that don't trust us, and then there's a few of the ones are just predicting us just to make the 8. So, some of them trust us more than others, and let's prove everyone wrong. And we sort of touched on injuries. It seems that our injury list is growing. We've got a few players spending time in the rehab group now. Some of our more faithful track watchers are saying that if players report a niggle or any slightest thing, then, obviously they're being very conservative, and then they go into the rehab group. But that rehab group seems to be getting bigger and bigger, and we touched on it that Jonesy was in there today. Who are a couple of the other players that were in there today? Nibbler's still in there.
We heard last week that he was.
So today, Nibbler's in there, Lewis was in there, Jonesy's in there, Clayton Oliver was in there. I'm assuming it's just a niggle of something, and they were the guys. They were just running laps. Harley Ballick, who hasn't played this year, he's also just running laps. And neither T-Mac or Viney was spotted. So I don't know what's going on there.
There was this interesting article posted on Fox Sports about Jack Viney and him speculating whether he's going to come back through Casey or go straight into the ones.
See,
and
there's
I'm really annoyed with this Viney thing. Well, I'm annoyed with him, and I'm annoyed with the staff.
Okay, well, in what way?
Surely they're both to blame.
So, in terms of being annoyed at the staff, are you annoyed with the management of the injury or the communication of what's happening with the injury?
Well, it's no. I'm not fussed about the communication. I'm not one of these people that thinks the club needs to be upfront with the supporters.
Yep.
I'd much rather they played ducks and drakes.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I agree with you. I don't... Look, everyone thinks us as supporters, we deserve to be told everything. But in the end, I want us to win games. And if not telling the supporters means that they're not telling the opposition team what's happening and the opposition have to guess and it stuffs up their matching up, then go for it. I want to win the game. So, yeah, you can play smoke and mirrors all you want with the opposition clubs. If it means keeping us in the dark, well, so be it. If it wins us a game... Yeah, I don't mind. So, having said that, what's your beef with this?
Well, Viney and possibly the match conditioning and medical staff, they screwed up his. They screwed up his return really from the last one.
So he came back.
Now, part of it is obviously the blame belongs with Jack because it was obviously troubling him, and perhaps he didn't say enough about it or, pay enough attention to it. But also, the club needs to get through to the players that they must report these, niggles or flares or whatever it is that they're feeling, so that further damage isn't done, which is what's happened in the Viney case now. It's been going on for months, and again, we sort of, we're told he's then on track for round one. Now he's ruled out for round one, and speculating even that round two might not happen.
Well, they were saying
come
that,
back through Casey.
Yeah, like we were hearing last week that he'd be coming back this week through Casey, or at the latest next week through Casey, and now it seems like he may or may not come round two through Casey. So when are we going to see Jack Viney? We don't know. Watch this space. It's worrying because we need him out there, but don't want him out there too early when he's not ready.
Yep.
So we also had Oscar McDonald was doing one-on-one skill work with the coaches. So obviously there's something NQR there. So we got
I think someone said it was back spasms. I think he might have got a knee in the back or something like that. So, I hope the club's not playing down, say Oscar and Tom and Jonesy. And they are all ready to go against Geelong.
Yeah, well, we've still got another week until they have to make decisions on what the team for round one is, and next week we're going to put together our best 22 and see how closely they match up. If anyone else wants to give their best 22, have a think about it, and maybe you can give a call in next week, and we'll go through your list with us. George on the Outer in the chat room has said, is our injury list any worse than any others? We have Viney, McDonald, Lewis, A and B. Geelong have Stanley, Dangerfield, Ablett, Scott Selwood, and Henderson. We were all week we've been doing our opposition watch, and obviously there's a cloud over Ablett. Ablett looks like they're saying he will play, but he's going to go in quite underdone. But Ablett is Ablett, so you can't take him lightly. Dangerfield did his hammy. What did they say? It was I don't know what type of grade it was, but it's sort of a 3-week injury, and they're playing a bit of smoke and mirrors, saying he might be ready, but play him if he's going to be injured. I don't mind, but yeah. Yeah,
George makes a good point. Every club's got injuries, pre-season and during the season, so you've got to, you've got to get on with it. And we showed last year we did very well at covering our injuries in the middle of the year. So, yep.
Hellbent in the chat room says, I know it cost us a finals berth last year, but we need to stop using injuries as an excuse. We have reasonable depth now. And we do. We've seen that we can cover people, key players when they're injured. We had Max go down, and we performed quite admirably with Max out of there. But you know what? I would have preferred he had been there. As I
look, if you're missing Viney, Jones, and Lewis, that's a lot of leadership and experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
And add to that,
but look,
Tom McDonald.
If you're missing Dangerfield and Ablett, you're missing two of your best three.
That's true. All right, so opposition watch. We've touched on that. Dangerfield might not be playing, so it's an interesting one. But you know what? You can only beat who's out on the park, so. Can't worry too much about that.
I think we can beat Geelong with their best team in. So I'll take any absences, but I'm not fussed about facing them at full strength either.
if you want to give us a call and talk about our injury list, or even anything we've talked about tonight, the JLT or Geelong's injury concerns, 03 9016 3666. That's 03 9016 3666. We'd love to hear from Demonlanders. You can jump in the chat room like a few of our other followers, demonland.com/podcast. I'm not sure if I mentioned our Skype, Demonland31 on Skype, if you want to give us a call. Yeah, we can move on from that.
Just two things before we do move on. Red and Bluebeards just asked if Tom McDonald is missing, who's our relief ruckman? Is it Peterson? The answer to that is yes, at the moment, I would have thought.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that our younger ruck brigade is ready for the big time yet. So I think you got to go Peterson. He's been proven a good relief ruckman.
Yep, he's good on the ball and has got a good strong tackle too. And one from earlier, D. Oldfart asked. He said that he's been wondering whether we'll go with one or two tall defenders against the Cats, assuming that both Oscar and Frosty are both fit.
Yeah, I look. If Omac's fit, if Omac's
Lever and Omac.
Well, if Omac's fit, it seems the coaching's going that way with Omac. Frosty, I don't know. Frosty, I thought in the game against St Kilda, he was on when sort of things, when Bruce, who always seems to have a great game against us, he must love coming up against us. Frosty was on him for most of that time. So, I think I, at the moment, go with Omac. But do we play both of them at the same time? I really don't know.
Nope.
But yeah, with if Tom McDonald's missing, Peterson goes in the ruck. You'd think. And I just wonder
if Oscar McDonald's missing, then Frost
obviously
will play.
Comes in. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, all right. That's that.
Yep.
The other big thing to happen this week, our girls in the AFLW had a good win. Once again, had a ripper first quarter and then sort of fell away after that, but still...
It's contagious, obviously.
Yeah. But did enough in that first quarter to snuff the Blues out and put us in... considering some of the other results has put us in a good position, because now the year is back in our hands. Before it was, we had to win, but then we had to rely on other results. Now, this week, we're playing the Bulldogs. If we win, we're in a grand final. If we lose, what has to happen? We need who's the closest in percentage to us? It's GWS.
I don't have it in front of me.
I do. I've got it here. And here we go. GWS are the closest. It depends how. If we do lose, it all depends on how badly we do get beaten in terms of our percentage. But GWS are 7% behind us. I don't even know who they're playing this week. So great preparation on my behalf. And by your silence, I'm assuming you don't know who they're playing either. They're playing...
Small but forward says Collingwood. We need Collingwood to beat Adelaide too.
So GWS are playing the Lions. Okay, that's interesting because it's two decent teams as well. Where are the... so Brisbane... Brisbane... Oh, because GWS, that percentage isn't going to matter because GWS have that draw.
Half game. Yep.
Yes, so if we lose and Brisbane, GWS beat Brisbane and or Adelaide beats Collingwood, we're out.
Yep. safest way to do it is to win,
yes.
basically.
So we're going to win. And
But,
it looks like if we win, I know we won't necessarily play the Bulldogs again because then it depends on those two results again, yeah.
Yep. But they're going to have to do it without Vice-Captain Mel Hickey.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Did an ACL. So shout-outs to Mel, former guest on the show.
Our first guest, by the way, that's a trivia question for the ages, who our first guest was. So, yeah. A
real shame because she's really elite in her preparation. As we've sort of seen, she's, really sort of spends 24 hours a day being in the sort of the right zone and doing the right things in terms of preparation. So, what a shame. There's been quite a few ACLs in the women's footy this year.
Yeah, they have. So, we wish Mel all the best. So, I mean, that's going to be tough because she'll miss now because don't they play after once this season finishes, they all go back to their clubs and their
so
local clubs
with Darebin.
Which is a shame for her and for Darebin as well, who won the premiership last year. So, yeah, we wish her a very speedy recovery and sending all of our best to her.
I tell you what, though, early in the season, I thought Karen Paxman is potentially the best player going around in the comp. But after, the season's progressed a bit now, and certainly after the weekend's game, Elise O'Day has got to be close, doesn't she?
Yeah, she had a ripper.
She's just a natural footballer. She looks great when she's got the footy, it's just very easy for her. Great kicking action, dead-eyed dick in front of goals. Had 3 in the first quarter. She is, talk about elite, she is right up there.
Mm. Yep, and you can't go past Daisy, who gives it a roll each week. I was also very impressed with our full forward as well, who had a great first quarter.
Just needs to work on the kicking a bit. But certainly gets a lot of the footy.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just so tall, and her reach is incredible. So she can sort of pluck them from anywhere. But she's pretty good at recovery too, considering her height. So she's only going to get better as we go.
Yep. So massive game this week. Win, we're in a granny. Lose, and we're relying on a couple of results that have to go our way. And when you're relying on more than one result, it makes it harder. So destiny is in our hands, and it wasn't too long ago that we were saying that exact same thing on this very podcast. So let's hope a Demons team can get into a grand final again. It's been a long time between drinks, so yeah, best of luck to the girls on the weekend. Is there anything else, Grapevine?
Not for mine, no. Just waiting for the real thing to come around. I noticed that the MCG put the goalposts in today.
Yep, I saw that.
Yarra Park is blocked off for parking.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with that, considering the environment that we live in these days. That car park can be a dangerous place. So
people say it should be developed. I hope it isn't. I reckon it's amazing that you can have. It's one of the world's largest stadiums, and at least sort of one half of it is surrounded by beautiful parkland.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the walk from Richmond Station through Yarra Park to the gate. And it's got a distinct smell about it. It's the smell of football. It's the smell of anticipation. And, I hope they leave it as is.
And the smell of the walk of shame when you lose and you're running, the run of shame when you're running back to get the train after the game, so you beat the feral Richmond supporters.
Yeah. They need to do something with that Richmond gate because it's too small to handle a 70,000 crowd, isn't it? I mean, you can stand there for 2 hours.
It's, you know what, when we win, I don't care. But when we lose, that bottleneck is just terrible. So, they've got to do something. But I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how you can make it better.
Gates.
Well, that's the thing. Either you just open it up, that would relieve it a little bit, but they want to obviously get every cent they can out of us. I don't know what you can do about that. It's terrible. But as I said, when we win, I'm not so fussed on to wait there for a bit. But when you lose, it's just hell.
Mind you can just cross the road and go in through the other side.
I think I'm going to do that.
I just figured that out.
Yeah, you can cross over and go in there, or you cross over the bridge and come through the back way on the other side.
It's a bit longer.
Yeah, but you know what?
A longer walk.
What's the difference? I'd rather be moving and get there quicker than standing still in that bottleneck.
As you say, it depends on
whether you win or lose.
What's just happened on the field.
Yeah, it does. So, Dees, do us a favour so we don't have to stand in shame at the Richmond gate. I think we'll call it there. I'm pumped for the season. It's best time of the year for me. Full of hope and anticipation. And let's hope that this year is the year that we come back into some relevance. And it's a good thing that we're getting talked about a lot more. We're getting talked up a little bit, not too much. I don't like to be talked up too much because I think we play our worst football when we're talked up. I don't know how that works that way, but it seems to. But good times. Looking forward to a great year. And we'll be here every week, talking about it. And hopefully we're not...
I reckon it's going to be a very enjoyable season.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm not so... I'm quietly sort of confident. I'm trying to talk it up a little bit more, but I want to win that first game. That's going to really do it for me.
That'll set the tone.
Yeah. Come into many round one full of hope only for it to be dashed, but we could be on the verge of something better and something great. So we've certainly got the team. We got if we're going to talk about media predictions, we don't like to hear the ones that don't say we're going to make the finals, but I loved hearing from Roosie. Roosie this week came out and said it's a good time to be a Melbourne supporter. He thinks we'll play finals, and it seems like he's really still, and obviously he's a fan of the D's, and maybe it's because he's got that vested interest of watching these young guys sort of develop, but hopefully he's sort of in for the long haul.
We saw him at a few games last year.
Yeah, we definitely did. He was there a couple of times,
and he had a coat on and a hoodie on, so that really no one would bother him.
Yeah.
Sitting right up the front, so he really couldn't be seen. So he's sort of going incognito, so I could watch the boys. Love Roosie. And we'll be thanking him as the good times get even better. For what he did.
Certainly him, Peter Jackson. He turned us around, because. Got to start somewhere, and he was one who he got Roosie to the club, so a lot of thanks to him too. All right, I think we're going to leave it there. It's been a good show, and we'll be back next week where we bring you our best 22 for the year, and we will be. The team won't be announced yet. I don't think next Wednesday, but.
Is Nasher in the best podcast 22 because he hasn't done a pre-season at all? And I'm worried if he joins us in the proper season, he'll hurt his voice.
Well,
so Nasher, if you're listening, you got to you need to buckle up, buddy.
Yeah, we have. I must say we have invited Nasher on, and a few times he's agreed to come on and then pulled out in the last minute. And I did invite him tonight, but didn't hear from him. So Nasher, let's get you back on board, son. We miss you here, and
he didn't come to podcast boot camp either.
No, he didn't.
Which was a strange decision.
Yeah, well, the computer falling on his head last year didn't help. So,
Yep.
yeah, we'll just use iPads next year. I promise. They're not as heavy. All right. My name is Andy. Grapeviney joining me again tonight. Thank you, and we'll be back next week. Come on, Demons.